announce the captains for the 25 season. Offensively, Trevor Lawrence, Robert Hainsey. Defensively, Foye, Josh Hines-Allen, Jordan Lewis. Specialist, Logan Cook. Those will be our 6 captains for the season. We'll probably do a game captain to rotate in with those guys throughout the season, but those will be the 6 captains for the season.
How'd you get there? Did the team vote?
Yeah, we did a team vote before we left for the mini break there, and all of it. Nice thing is you didn't have to fudge it to get kind of what you wanted. It was pretty clear. Pretty clear based on the votes and the ballots that these were the 6 guys that got the most. There was a ton of guys that you could have bumped up potentially. You just don't have enough spots. You only have 6 of them. But it was cool to acknowledge the amount of people that did receive votes throughout the team. That was nice to see, especially some of the guys that may not have ever been voted for in the past that did receive some votes, and kind of shows that those guys are making an impact. So it wasn't hard to get to that 6 guys.
You've had Eric Armstead in practice now for a little bit. When he plays inside, he's at full capacity. What can he do for defense?
Just the length alone is a hard thing, to deal with as a guard, especially in the pass rush, and then in the run game, when you've got a 3 tech that can play with length and kind of shut blockers out in a lot of ways, where that can help the run defense, but he can get an edge in the pass game, and when he's rushing and moving the way he's moving, he can get an edge on people inside. So the experience, guy that's played a ton of snaps, ton of high level football, and he can be a pain, right, for some guards that are going to try to make first significant contact, and he does have a little initial wiggle, and he's got multiple moves that obviously allows him to have success. So we need a lot out of him.
Week 1's here, gonna be your first regular season game as an NFL head coach. You're chomping at the bit a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you feel that energy kind of?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was. It's been a long kind of. I guess I don't know how many months it's been since I got hired, but nothing else. Like obviously, you've done so much work to get to this point, and then now you're into the results. Truly matter, right? And we've talked so much about the process that drives results, that's got us to this point. We can't lose sight of that process. And we used to kind of talk about process over results. Well, those results matter, So the process in which we get to the games and the way that we game plan, the way that we operate throughout the week, the way that we communicate on game day, that's the part that you're kind of anxious to see how we handle a true game, right? Like it was great to get some of those reps in preseason and come out of it healthy, because stuff showed up that maybe if we wouldn't have played those guys that you don't typically see. So I'm glad that we did it. You're definitely anxious as a head coach to kind of get the ball kicked off and get into it. So you're really just more so anxious and excited to see how the guys go out and play, right? Like you want to see perfect football, but we all know it's football. It's not perfect, right? It's an imperfect game, and you're striving for perfection, which is probably the chase, obviously. But we're all excited. I'm excited to kind of get in that stadium and see how much we can pack it.
What is your relationship with Dave Canales, and knowing, of course, you would be facing the Panthers week 1 since May, but knowing that he was just the first-year head coach,
Yeah.
and because you succeeded him in Tampa, did you pick his brain at all, perhaps between January
For sure.
and May?
Yeah, Dave is always, I don't know him super well, but like when I got the Tampa job, he was, very, he was cool to just be able to reach out to, holler at. His wife was really kind to Ashley as well, and then when I got this job, we got to talk at the owners' meetings for a little while and just kind of picking his brain on some of the things that he felt like he could improve upon as a head coach, or things that he thought went well. And Shane Waldron was with Dave in Seattle for a number of years as well, so there's a natural communication there. I got a ton of respect for Dave. He helped so much with the bridge in Tampa. Like, their offense, there was a lot of similarities. So when you get the Tampa job, you're not starting from ground zero. And I've always appreciated the energy and confidence that he gives to his players.
I don't know how much film you've been able to look at of Bryce Young, but they sat him down last year, brought him back, played well. Where do you see his biggest improvement?
Yeah, I mean, we played against him twice last year, so I've been able to see him a lot. I think you see a guy that, footwork, they were really trying to work on his lower half, getting him to play more in rhythm. But man, he can hurt you in a few different ways. I mean, you let that dude out of the pocket, he can be a problem because he uses his legs as a runner, but also he remains a passer as he does scramble and move around. I always kind of thought he had some like Steph Curry-ish ability as a quarterback where he can distribute it, and when things are clicking, I mean, he improved a ton, I thought, last year over the season. So, when they're able to run it and establish the run game and get their mid-zone going and get him kind of on the move and playing the position, he can be dangerous. So our rush plan has got to be extremely coordinated. We've got to understand he wants to escape at times, and he does have a quick release. So we've got to affect the quarterback in more ways than one.
Playing against this defense and the structure twice last year, do you go back to any of that, or is it just new year, new team?
Yeah, we definitely go back and look, and because I don't think the overall structure will change. I do believe that we will see some unscouted looks for sure, whether it's a personnel grouping, whether it's a blitz or a coverage or something along those lines. I don't think they've probably altered their entire structure. So yeah, you definitely go back and look at what was successful, twice last year playing those guys, and what fits what we've done well up until this point that we can kind of use those schemes or concepts to our advantage. But they've definitely added some players, via pro free agency and in the NFL, in the draft as well. So you're just curious to see how they're maybe going to utilize those players, if that impacts and affects their defensive structure at all.
Does that kind of work in your guys' favor as well? Like maybe they don't know exactly what you guys are going to do either?
Yeah, I would think that they probably have a idea watching the Tampa stuff that it's, probably not going to go too far off of that. It's just more, okay, what personnel groupings are we going to major in, especially early on in the season in game one, what that looks like for us. So, and then the personnel is obviously a little bit different, but I think that both teams are able to go and look at some of the stuff from last year and be able to use that either to the advantage or, man, this is something that we didn't do well that they took advantage of that we need to improve upon so that it doesn't happen again.
We talked about Trevor, this game sometimes played in the gray. How is he in that area there? I mean, everything this has been so structured to get him into the offense, fix the footwork, but how is he in the gray?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, especially when they haven't fully, it hasn't truly occurred, right? We can almost set it up a little bit in practice, but practice is typically pretty structured, as you kind of mentioned. So I'm curious to see. I'm excited to see how he, just goes through and plays within the game, because you can dial stuff up that is intended to go in what direction to whomever, but maybe the coverage changes or dictates it, and I'm eager to see kind of how he'll handle those situations and handle, all right, well, this didn't work out exactly how we wanted it to. How do you just find a completion, right? Like that we have typically on each play 5 eligibles, right? And so whether it's a check down, oh man, they gave us a completely different look, wasn't what we wanted, man, just check the ball down, we get 4 or 5 yards and we keep the thing moving. So that'll be really important for Trevor, especially in a week one where you don't know what you're gonna get, right? We have an idea, you can go off the tape and the stats and all that, it gets thrown out the window at times, especially in week one. So it'll be very important for him to be able to live in that gray. Man, this isn't exactly what we were hunting up. How can we continue to find a completion and take care of the football.
Is the plan to start Travis on both sides this Sunday, or?
Yeah, we're still working through it right now. You know, he obviously missed a lot of time there that, you know, can impact playing anybody, nonetheless a rookie that misses quite a bit of time. So what that usage looks like, we're still working through.
With the O-line, you mixed the match like every team does early in camp. You liked the five you got together, and it created some cohesion.
Yeah, that's been the goal, is kind of for the last 10 days or so, whatever it's been, to have the cohesiveness with those guys. And you know, at the end of the day, those five need to play as a group, as a unit, communicate more than anybody else. And I have been pleased. You know, you're never sure what you got until you go play a game, and people actually have to tackle and tackle the ball carriers, and you have to go execute at a high level, snap in and snap out. So what does that look like? I'll be able to kind of say a little bit more after week one, but I've been pleased with their continuity thus far.
Have you, you talked about how he's not going to be able to catch anybody by surprise. Have you kind of seen him approach this season kind of through training camp to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all saw that there were some highs and lows throughout, you know, training camp. I thought, obviously, when he goes to the Miami joint and kind of did what he did there, and last few practices, I thought last week, I thought he had a really good week last week. So, you know, it'll be important to continue to be able to get him involved early, especially. So, you know, for any skill player, you really want to try to get them a touch early so that those guys can get into the game, feel like they're in the game, and not kind of being taken away, if you will. And obviously they have a really good corner on defense over there in Horn, so that's going to be a great matchup. And you know, how do we get BT either over there one-on-one with him or move him around, whatever it is. But I think the last few practices have been better for him.
How important can the first game be for kind of setting the tone for the year?
Yeah, I think, you know, it is important for sure. Like we want to go and set the tone 100%. I wouldn't say I want these guys to put an all or nothing approach into the first game, just because shoot, you don't know how any season's going to play out. But it is important for us to get the ball moving a little bit in terms of playing the way that we want to play. Whatever the result is, we've got to live with that ultimately. But if we show, you know, coming out, playing with great energy, execution, playing tough, is it going to be perfect? We all know it's not. But it is important for those guys to be able to get some confidence, okay, in a game setting. All right, these systems and these fundamentals that I've been getting coached on for months now work, right? I mean, ultimately it's comes down to when there's shown improvement and you do execute in all three phases, it helps create more buy-in for what you're trying to do, and now they're listening and you have their attention. So it is very important. I wouldn't say you know, the season's lost if we don't, you know, have the much success that we would like to have, but you definitely want to see that jump that we're talking about in terms of the physicality, the toughness, the nature that we want to play the game. That's really what I'm looking for, and to see how we respond to adversity, because there's going to something's going to happen in the game that doesn't go our way, and I'm more so I want to see how we respond to that, and that'll help me as we move throughout the season, seeing how we do that, and that helps guys come together as well as a team.
You had two preseason games where you were calling plays and then being head coach at the same time. Anything changed from the first one to the second one for you? Any issues that came up or anything like that?
No.
And how did you like the third one when Grant was called?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed calling plays, so it's hard not to. So yeah, nothing truly came up that was, man, like we can't handle this because I'm not on the right headsets, or, you know, we've got an ability to speak to people on all channels on the deal. So I thought that part was good, to be able to work through some of those kinks and get through it, where it's like, man, I'm calling plays, then I got to flip over and be on the defensive side, which was just different for me, like having never been on the defensive side of the headsets before. So to just be on that side, not speak much, you know, you want to let Campy and those guys coach and call it and give them some space, while also being there for them in case we need timeouts, in case we need to be able to communicate a situation that could occur. So it's more just lending support when you aren't calling the plays and making sure that you're on top of the clock management, the timeouts. So we're gonna go for 2. Are they gonna go for 2? Just getting ahead of some of those situations when you're not calling plays.
Something that players always say about you is you're a great communicator, and then we get kind of a look at that in the hunt. Where does that come from? When did you kind of develop that skill? Because it's not something everybody does.
Well, as a communication major at UMass, you know, no, you know, it was at a young age. I think I had a great example of it with my dad being a coach, and yeah, I don't know if he was a player's coach or not. I think he probably was in a lot of ways. I mean, his players were constantly at our house all the time, whether he was coaching in high school or college, and kind of getting to those relationships a little bit more on a different level. And then obviously going to work for Sean, where, you know, in 2018 I got in that building and I saw an example of the coolest place I'd ever been, where you just saw everybody in the building were working towards one common goal, and there was really very little to any people trying to pull at that or bring people in a different direction. So I thought that was a pretty cool example to see a guy that did call plays as an offensive head coach and still be able to get in with the defense and with special teams and create relationships and bonds with guys to ultimately see, you know, show them you care, that you do care about them a little bit more than just surface level conversation. So I think once you do that, for me, that's helped me be able to communicate a little bit more honestly with them, because they know that there is investment in the relationship. It's not just like, all right, hey, you didn't get the job done, this isn't good enough, leave it at that. Well, it's like, okay, how can we get the best out of each player, each coach, each staff member, in order to invest in that? Once they're invested, they typically will let you coach them harder.
With Carolina, last one. With Carolina trading Thielen and placing Coker on IR, does that massively change how you prepare for this football game defensively?
You know, I think, you know, T-Mac being a rookie, we liked him coming out of the draft. We know what some of those traits are that he can do with some of the one-on-one opportunities as well. And then Leggett can really run, big physical receiver, and you know, Hunter Renfrow is one in the slot here for years. So what does that look like? I think they'll probably remain within what they do. Probably, I don't know if it'll drastically change how they operate. Maybe we'll see a little bit more 12, 13, just for depth reasons alone, for sure. So I don't think it'll drastically change things for us, but you know, Coker is a good player. Like he did a lot for them in terms of the run game, blocking, but also he has some wiggle and can run. So you know, Coker and Hunter are different players. I think that's probably where you'll see a little bit of a different usage out of those players. That will and can affect how we play a little bit, but I'm not sure it'll have a huge, drastic, you know, issue on the game plan.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.